Let's just admit it right up front. Those who are strung out on pharmaceutical grade, premium, political hopium are too obvious to deny. I wanted to go over this video with you. I've not seen it yet, but the title did pique my curiosity. FBI didn't raid Epstein. James O'Keefe questions Kash Patel, Bongino, and Bondi over Epstein's silence. Now, if you know anything about the PBD podcast or Valuetainment, you know that this guy is 100% in the tank for the political parasitic hopium crowd on the MAGA side. And just to do a little recap about the strange occurrences with the Epstein death, Jeffrey Epstein reportedly died on August 10th, 2019. I can't even believe it's been that long ago, in his cell at the Metropolitan Correctional Center. It's officially ruled an S-side by hanging, and there were very strange circumstances swirling around all of that that sparked genuine controversy due to several anomalies. Namely, the guards both fell asleep at their posts after not checking on Epstein as required. The cameras that were monitoring Epstein's cell all of a sudden started to malfunction and did malfunction, so we have no digital record of what actually happened. Epstein was taken off the S-side watch list despite a reported prior attempt. His cellmate was removed, and there are reported inconsistencies in the autopsy filings, such as broken bones that were more consistent with a homicide than with a S side. So here's the PBD podcast supposedly talking. Yeah, James O'Keefe is in the house questioning Kash Patel and Bongino and Bondi over Epstein's silence. Let's see what they say here.
A lot of conservatives were told on day one, week one, you know, we're going to find out about Epstein, 9/11, MLK, John F. Kennedy. We're going to find all that stuff out. And we've been wanting it for a while to see what's going on with this, who's behind it, especially the last few years at a whole different level. And we're going to find out who the assassination attempt was. Was he tied to anybody? Was Thomas tied to anybody? And then we all see the same clip that you've seen, right? It's the clip with Bongino and Kash Patel.
Yes.
If you can pull that clip up, Rob. And
play the clip, Rob. Play the clip. Now, a lot of us, well, not a lot of us, a few of us warned all of these people, hey, Trump is making these promises that he is absolutely not going to fulfill. Kash Patel, if he does become the director of the FBI, he is not going to release the documents he thinks he's going to release. And then if they hire Bongino as the deputy director of the FBI, you're definitely not going to get anything but protection from Assad and Israel. And what do we see? That's exactly what we see. And you think Pam Bondi has any kind of heart for justice? You don't know her history as the attorney general in Florida then.
No, these are two men that almost anybody who knows, I think that's the one right there, almost anybody that knows them would call them patriots, right?
Yeah.
They've served their country. They've given their lives to the country. Dan has at the highest level, so has Kash Patel.
That's how easy it is to deceive these pundits who believe that government is the answer to our problems.
And then we see this clip here that throws a lot of people off. Go for it, Rob.
Said Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. People don't believe it.
Well, I mean, listen, they have a right to their opinion, but as someone who has worked as a public defender, as a prosecutor, who's been in that prison system, who's been in...
So he's been a public pretender.
In the Metropolitan Detention Center, who's been in segregated housing, you know a suicide when you see one, and that's what that was.
He killed himself. You want me to... I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
I know it's hard work.
I'm not a body language expert, but it just looks like Dan and Kash are lying. It looks like they've been threatened. It looks like they've been handed a script and now they're just regurgitating it.
Said.
And you saw people that have done body language. You know, Dan looks uncomfortable saying what he's saying. The way he answered it, you can tell they've role played that. And, now this is purely what people are speculating, right? And then
did not know he was going to say that.
You have this one clip with Pam Bondi.
Correct.
Rob, if you have the Pam Bondi one.
I'd like to play
So
that.
maybe walk us through what's going on here before we play.
I don't know if you want me to narrate.
I've got all the... I hope it's this one. I hope I got all the files on my desk, and they will be released tomorrow.
as opposed to watching me on the screen.
What's better to do?
Perhaps we go to the beginning of where you see Pam Bondi on the hidden camera. So I'll just talk live what I said on the camera. Okay, so there she is at the White House. Go back to the beginning of that clip of her at the White House. So that was a tough one for me to publish because you asked if I'm political, and I think you have to decide who you want to be. Are you a political operative or are you a journalist? And to be a journalist, it's hard because you have to do things like this. Pam Bondi was caught in a restaurant telling a stranger, a nanny, on April 28th or so, that there are tens of thousands of videos involving little children. Now, I didn't target her. I didn't seek to get this. People send me stuff. Sometimes I have undercover people all over the country, and they happen to get a conversation in an airport. I get sent this. I'm like, holy shit. Mm-hmm. This is not public. The Attorney General of the United States, and by the way, Cash, I believe the FBI reports to her, so this is the top dog, is saying to a nanny in a restaurant something that no one knows. And to me, I'm like, well, that's an interesting story, is it not? So I do what I have to do. I reach out to the Attorney General's office for comment. I say, Pam Bondi, the Attorney General of the United States, was caught in a restaurant saying, and I actually wonder whether I should have done that. I probably did him a favor by giving them the exact quotes. And then a few days later, she says the exact same thing publicly that I emailed the Attorney General's office for comment saying, and played the clip of her at the White House. This is what she said.
Of thousands of videos of Epstein with children or child porn.
Now, this is the first time an official has publicly acknowledged that videos of Epstein and his victims exist. What you may not know is just 9 days prior, the Attorney General had a very similar conversation with a total stranger in a restaurant.
Do you know when the Epstein files are going to get released?
We hope soon. The FBI's been.
Okay.
So,
any dates?
No, you know what it is? There are tons and thousands of videos.
Yeah.
And it's all with little kids. So they have to go through every one.
Pause.
How can that even be true? Tens of thousands of videos with Epstein with little kids. How do you even have time? How can you have enough time in a life to record that many videos?
Interesting, because she said it privately in a restaurant publicly in a restaurant, not privately. And to me, it's like, that's something. So I felt like I had to publish this. Now, if she hadn't gone publicly and said this, and I had released this clip in the restaurant, it would have been a much bigger deal. But it does raise questions, doesn't it? Why are they not being transparent with the American people? Why are they telling a nanny in a restaurant?
Okay, why ask that kind of question? Because if it was the Biden or Obama administration, they'd be like, why the big cover up? Not why are they not being transparent? Let's go for the positive angle instead of the negative angle. Why does it look like you and Kash Patel and Bongino are covering all this stuff up? Who are you trying to protect?
Raises questions to your point about Kash. I know Kash a little bit. I think he is a good man. And I mean that. Based upon what I know about him. I don't know Dan as much, but I also think he's a good man. I don't trust the bureaucracy that reports to them. And if you put any good man and the most ethical person at the top of that bureaucracy, I think you're setting them up for failure. Let me give you a specific example of where I'm coming from.
Then you have to dissolve the FBI. You have to dissolve the ATF. You have to dissolve the Department of Homeland Security. You have to dissolve it all, because even if you put the most right, according to James O'Keefe, and I agree, even if you put the most righteous person as the figurehead of those departments, it's the bureaucracy that's going to corrupt everything. If that's true, then those departments aren't redeemable.
Raided by the FBI shortly before I met you. The FBI pointed guns at me and took my reporter's notebooks. They just recently closed the case against me a few months ago, the FBI, in February of this year. And they gave me back my phones that they had for 3.5 years. When you get a search warrant to conduct a raid, you have to go to a judge, right, with a reason. Oh, we have this probable cause, the reasons why to raid. when you close a case, which is very rare for the FBI to execute a search warrant and not bring charges, it hardly ever happens, you are required by law to give a copy of the probable cause. That is the reason why you conducted the raid. Guess what they did? They redacted every single word of the probable cause used to raid my newsroom. Every word. Maybe your producer can pull it up on Google or something. Every word. There's a black bar, Pat, through. It's ridiculous.
Why would Kash Patel, who's the head of the FBI, Pam Bondi, who's the head of Kash Patel and the FBI, allow any redactions on that? Because they're not only not transparent, but they are involved, seemingly, in a cover-up.
It's literally black bar.
And it's happening to James O'Keefe, who is 100% MAGA. And it's being reported on right here by the PBD podcast. And Patrick Bet-David is 100% MAGA. But nobody's going to go, you know what? Team MAGA and Donald Trump are as corrupt as the Biden administration or the Obama administration or any administration. This is just left versus right, dog and pony show, right? They're going to come to their senses, right?
We're not talking about terrorists. We're not talking about Jeff Epstein. We're not talking about child molesters and drug traffickers. We're talking about James O'Keefe, the journalist. So if our FBI, our Attorney General's office, can't be transparent about why they raided a journalist's newsroom, why do we have any faith in the FBI to be transparent about these other issues? That's where I'm coming.
Why do you have any faith in Pam Bondi, in Kash Patel, in Bongino? Why? This is the hopium I'm talking about, guys. They will literally put this off. I believe Kash Patel's a good man. I think Dan Bongino's a good man. I think Pam Bondi's a good woman. It's the bureaucracy they're involved in. And if you get the most righteous person on top of that bureaucracy, it's all worthless.
From on this.
And is this in regard to the Ashley Biden diary, James? Correct. This is it, right? Because somebody contacted you and told them that they found the diary of the daughter of the President of the United States saying a bunch of stuff and also claiming that her father showered with her probably at inappropriate ages, and then they raid your house.
Correct. Now he's going to make a big deal out of this Biden thing and just completely ignore. This guy is 100% on emotion. Because he's 100% on emotion, he's 0% on logic. And because he's 100% emotion and 0% on logic, he is in the tank for her and is guzzling Kool-Aid for Donald J. Trump. How about the fact that Donald Trump and Epstein were really, really close buds for a long, long time? Trump calling him a fantastic person. He likes his ladies a little young.
Yeah, it's an affidavit. It's on my go down. It's Project Veritas journalist detained, devices seized. This is not it, but it's on my X page. There's on page 47 of the affidavit. Every word is redacted. I mean, I was enraged. The American Civil Liberties Union, which is a liberal group, came to my defense. This is crazy. You take if another country like Ukraine or Russia or North Korea did this, our State Department would. So my point is, I don't have a lot of faith in these institutions. I just don't.
What do you think happens when they get in?
Why do you have any faith in Kash Patel or Dan Bongino? Why aren't these guys blowing the whistle on what politics actually is? This drives me crazy.
That's what I want to know. Because to me...
There it is right there. I apologize. I apologize. Could you just... I apologize. Is
that real?
Wow.
That's a real document. Can you zoom in, please?
Like what?
It says probable cause justifying search of O'Keefe's person and premises. Every single word is redacted. They even redacted the footnote.
So
isn't this insane? There's more of this.
So it means they can do whatever they want. And they don't have to show you why they came in your house.
It's literally... it's a
that.
violation.
This is Kash Patel's FBI. This is Pam Bondi's FBI that redacted all this. And they're not unredacting it. So they're not apologizing in any substantial way.
Look at this. Look at this.
The whole thing. Keep going, Rob.
Like, okay. Oh, I see what they did there.
Okay, wait. There's something unredacted. Read the bottom.
What's the bottom?
Read that. Based upon my... This is an FBI agent. I have learned, among other things, that cell phones are capable of sending emails.
Great.
Are you kidding me?
I'm shocked they didn't redact that.
This is not Saturday Night Live. And then it goes on to the rest of the affidavit. But the previous 3 pages are the probable cause. That is the justification for the raid against James O'Keefe.
And James, if you don't mind, what were they looking...
This is the FBI and Kash Patel and Dan Bongino and Pam Bondi saying to James O'Keefe, F you ain't going to get anything from us. This isn't Joe Biden's FBI. This is Donald Trump's FBI. Guys, share this. This is huge. We're going to keep going.
For the diary?
They weren't looking for the diary. They already had that. What were they? Well, that's a loaded question. Yeah. Were they really trying to do?
What were they really trying to do?
They were really trying to get inside my cell phone because people in the government come to me with information, which as a reporter I have a right to receive, and they don't like that.
Of course.
Now, if you think about
did you give him the password to your cell phone?
This is another very interesting story.
Because you know what happened with Ron Johnson, where when they walked up to his house and they took his phone, and the rule of thumb, if you ever hand your phone over, you're not supposed to give the password. How did they get into your phone?
This is a crazy story. They bang on the door, and it's the loudest pounding. You know it's the feds. You just know. And I go to the door. I'm like, I'm opening the door because they're going to shoot me. And then they open. They put me in handcuffs. I think I'm under arrest. They say, no, this is a search warrant. I say, I want to speak to my lawyer. I say over and over again, I want to speak to my lawyer because I learned I was arrested 10 years prior. Don't talk to the FBI. Just don't, even if you're innocent. They say, would you like to use the iPhone on your nightstand? I said, yes. And then I unlock the phone because I have to call my lawyer. And the moment that I unlock my phone, they snatch the phone. Not get out of here.
Holy shit.
They snatch the phone out of my hand because I unlocked the phone.
Man.
And then the FBI agent, almost to
I wonder if this is true. I don't doubt it. Well, I do kind of doubt it. I just wonder if it's true.
To torture me in front of me. He goes to the settings and he changes the settings to make it not go to sleep.
Wow.
Yes. And then they put the phone in an evidence bag. Now the FBI has access to all of my Signal messages. Do you know what's in my Signal messages? All the people in the government that come to me with information.
Wow.
So the Department of Justice, this is the Biden department, or the month before Trump was elected in 2020. Excuse me, Biden was elected in 2020. Now they have access to all of my sources.
Jeez.
So this is what gets considered to be a constitutional raping, because the American Bill of Rights have special protections for reporters. And you're talking to the only newsroom that has ever been raided by the FBI. We're the only ones that have ever been raided. And they did it just to get the information. So what's behind all those black bars? I believe confidential FBI informants.
Of course.
People who lied to the FBI to set me up. So I could tell you so many war stories, guys, but you ask me questions about Cash and Dan Bongino. They're great guys. I think they mean well.
Then why don't they if it's true that Cash Patel is a great guy, this was 6 hours ago, 246,000 views. If Cash Patel watches this, and somebody should show Cash Patel this and prove that Cash Patel watched this, and Cash Patel doesn't go to the FBI and say, unredact all that stuff and make this public right now. If he doesn't do that, something's up. At least this right here. Because everything that he's doing with this Epstein thing, man, if you aren't questioning what the hell is going on in government, I don't care if it's a Biden government, Obama government, Trump government, Clinton government.
But if you put me in charge of the FBI, I wouldn't know what to do. I mean, how do you trust a bureaucracy like that? Where people behave that, by the way, that is totally illegal.
I wouldn't know what to do. Put me in charge. I'll be in charge for about, an hour or however long it takes to dissolve the FBI. Get rid of, fire everybody. But before you do that, you fire everybody at the ATF. You go to the Attorney General and you say, this is a domestic terror cell. We need to fire the ATF, the IRS, the FBI, the CIA. I know that there are roots that are deep and there are things that will affect and jeopardize national security and all that. But nobody jeopardizes domestic national security more than the FBI or the ATF. I mean, just look at Waco, look at Ruby Ridge, look at the Oklahoma City bombing, look at 9/11.
You can't take a gun pointed against your forehead and say, give me your reporter's notebooks. If that happened in Eastern Europe, our State Department would be issuing sanctions against that country. But it happened in New York.
Yeah. So can I ask one question, James? So they promised all this. Day one, we're going to do this. Day one, we're going to do that. What do you think happened? Meaning they're in now. Donald Trump is the president. He's told them, go ahead, you guys do whatever you want. Who makes a Pam Bondi, a Dan Bongino, a Cash Patel all of a sudden change their tunes and not release what we know? Because, James, at the end of the day, she even said tens of thousands, I'm assuming, James, is let's say 30,000 hours of grown men having sex with children. And, James, I don't know if you're familiar. In the movie JFK, Jim Garrison says, and I quote, let justice be done though the heavens fall, which basically means going after truth no matter how powerful the people and no matter what happens to the system. So what happened? What do you think they go in?
That was powerful. Because if you take that on the plane of truth and carry it out to the very, very end, you're going to see everything fall, everything crumble. The reason you don't have the Epstein files right now is because Pam Bondi and Donald Trump and Cash Patel don't want you to have the Epstein files. They don't want you to know what's going on. They don't want you to know who's in control. They don't want you to know how many children were victimized or how much money was spent. They don't want you to know. They're hiding it from you.
And who tells them you are not releasing any of this because our friends and blah, blah, blah are attached to it?
Good question.
I don't know if anyone tells them. I mean, some have said they put you in a skiff. This is not a fact. This is speculation, but a funny notion that might illustrate what could happen is You know that image of JFK getting shot?
Yes.
Do they put the leaders in a skiff that's a secure, compartmentalized information facility? Do they show the Zapruder film of JFK getting shot and said, you better do what we tell you to do? Or that could be you. Now, I'm not saying they did that to these gentlemen. And I actually genuinely mean this. I've met Cash. I think he's a genuinely good man. I just don't.
Meeting somebody does not mean you know them. He's not genuinely good if he, being the head of his department, allows a redaction like this to get through on somebody who's so public. If Kash Patel is letting something this public to such a public personality who looks to a lot of people like a true journalist, which he's not because he's so pro-MAGA, it's ridiculous. He's so TP-USA, it's embarrassing. But if Kash Patel and the FBI are going to do this to him, imagine the evils that they're involved in. Imagine the cover-ups they're continuing to propagate.
The system is institutionally corrupt. And everyone says, you know what they say to me, Pat? Oh, call Cash, he'll help you out. Call Bam, call Pam. Yeah, like I got them on speed dial. They're getting asked for 10,000 favors a day. Mm-hmm. I don't have any money to give them.
This is a high-profile favor. This is what would vindicate the FBI and maybe take the spotlight, the hot spotlight, off of Kash Patel with all this Epstein nonsense going on. At least do this one thing right, Cash.
The system is so broken when you need the guy at the top to be so influential. It's the system. It's the Article 3 judges. It's the courts. It's the line prosecutors. The agents in my apartment. Do you know that when the agents were in my apartment, I could tell by the looks on their faces that they didn't want to be there. They're like, this is crazy.
But they were order followers and they did it anyway, right? And when you have somebody who's an order follower who's willing to do what he's told regardless of what is right, rather than doing what is right regardless of what he's told, you have one of the most dangerous people on the planet. I don't care if it looks like they didn't want to be there. They're there. They're choosing to be there. They're choosing to keep their jobs. When you dangle on a carrot some incentivization program, here, you're going to get benefits. You're going to get $150,000, $200,000 a year for being an FBI agent, doing the things that you probably don't want to do, but you're going to do it anyway because you got to feed your kids. That's somebody who has no moral compass. They have no conscience. And they're going to do this. If they're going to do this to a high-profile guy, imagine they'll easily do it to you and I because they'll get away with it. They don't know about me. They know about him, and they still did it anyway, didn't they?
This is wrong, but they did it.
Speculate a little bit. What do you think happens when they get in? Because they tend to change when they get in.
Who are you talking about, the FBI agents?
Anybody and everybody. The moment they get in.
Guys, this is huge. This is huge. What do you think happens to them when they get in? Let's say you voted for let's say he's truly a righteous guy. He's not dangling from a banker string. He was actually organically chosen because of his character. He's upright, he's moral, he's filled with integrity, he's filled with the white hot fire of justice, and he's going to bring that justice. He promised and fully intends on bringing that justice. And then you elect him. He's selected, but let's say you elected him, and then he takes the seat of the president, and then he fails to deliver on this promise and that promise, which, if he's the president of the United States, the leader of the free world, the commander-in-chief of the military-industrial complex, why wouldn't he? Has the power to keep his promises, and yet he's not keeping them? What do you think happens to him? What do you think happens to the best of us when they get into office? Because power tends to corrupt, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And it happens every single time. If it happens on your local mayoral level in your small podunk town, can you imagine how easily it happens? How corruption just eats these people up on the federal level? So it doesn't even matter if you truly voted for the most righteous guy on the planet. The government, which is all these people around who believe they have a right to rule you and believe that you have the obligation to obey their rulership or be punished, are going to corrupt. And they're going to have their way anyway. And besides that, even if he's the best president, he's not in control because the powers that shouldn't be are in control.
And the whole quote by Mario Cuomo, people campaign in poetry, but they govern in prose. Once they go in, they used to communicate and talk to you. Now the only way they talk to you is with emojis. Hey, when they were campaigning, they wanted to talk to you regularly. I want to come on the podcast. I want to do this. I want to do that. And then all of a sudden they're in. They're more quiet about it. But what do you think happens when they get in?
Politics. I'm working on a story right now. One of the directors of the agency, they mean well. They go into FEMA, or they go in the IRS. They have all these notions of freedom and prosperity and eliminating waste, fraud, and abuse. But then they get in there, And there's such snakes in these entities. DC, it's a land of phonies and narcissists. They're not attracted to do the right thing. They want power and money and sex. Are we under some delusion that the people in Washington want something other than power and
It's a delusion and it's an illusion. Guys, you've got to share this. This is massive. I can't even believe they're talking about. They are literally condemning themselves. These are the guys that told you to vote for the Donald Trump and put him behind that seat at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, knowing they know these guys aren't stupid, but they got a gravy train going. They got a carrot dangling, and they're going to pocket that carrot every single time. They don't care. They don't even care if they mar their reputations, which this guy has and PBD Podcast has, and the guy sitting to Patrick Bet-David's right has just completely marred and steamrolled over any kind of character that they would have, any kind of good reputation. They don't care because they're on the take. They know the entire system is corrupt. They know who it's run by. They know there are 12,000 lobbyists in Washington's district of criminals, special interest groups, corporate oligarchs who are getting kickbacks from all this. Whether they're Democrat or Republican, they are all on the dole. They're all on the hook. And these people are like, what do you think happens? What do you think happens? They're like, you know what happens. You know, they're controlled by power, profit, prestige, and sex. That's what they want. Are we under a delusion? Even as they recognize what's going on, they continue to propagate the very problem that they're pinpointing right now. What the frick?
money and sex? What percentage of the people in Washington inside these agencies are actually there to do the right thing? What percentage? For real? Are we naive and foolish enough to think that people are in these places?
I think they start off wanting to do the right thing, and then through peer pressure, they get forced.
Or there's a few people,
in them.
or there's a few people that are there who do the right thing, but there's so many snakes and manipulative. Look at what happened to me. Look why I'm on your show. I started my own institution because I didn't want to be part of the snakes.
You are a part of the snakes because you promoted MAGA. Patrick Bet-David promoted Trump. Trump is clearly dangling on the end of a bankster string. He was bailed out in the 1990s when Taj Mahal went broke. Rothschild's Inc. stepped in and set that hook. With Wilbur Ross, 25 years later, he scratches Rothschild's Inc.'s back by making Wilbur Ross the Commerce Secretary. And the list goes on and on. Treasury Secretary, Department of Homeland Security, hiring warmongers like Bolton, picking the CIA director. You know, we West Point, we said, don't lie, cheat, or steal. We had whole training manuals on how to lie, cheat, or steal. They're all snakes. They're all liars. They're all robbers. They're all thieves. They all want to be rulers, every single one of them. And these people continue to profit. We could literally be a free and prosperous nation if these guys didn't continue to promote the very thing that they're right now pinpointing and criticizing. And whether they had good intentions or not, maybe some of them do have good intentions. I don't know. I know most of them don't. But even if some of them did, good intentions will always be pleaded for every assumption of authority. It's hardly too strong to say that the Constitution was made to guard the people against the dangers of good intentions. Did you know that good intentions are dangerous? There are men in all ages who mean to govern well, but they mean to govern. And what is the word for govern? They mean to control. They promise to be good masters, but they mean to be your masters. Even Daniel Webster saw it hundreds of years ago.
And the snakes infiltrate. And I think in some regards it's human nature. And this is a really good question you're asking. I'm learning in real time. I started an institution because I didn't trust institutions, and then I'm removed from my own institution by snakes.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. I'm James O.
So crazy. They put their finger on the pulse of what's going on, and I guarantee you in the next episode, if not the next couple minutes during this episode, they just back off. That's the end of this right here. It was 16 minutes long. I put it at 1.25 speed so we can get through it. But the name of this video is FBI Didn't Raid Epstein. James O'Keefe questions Kash Patel, Bongino, and Bondi over Epstein's silence. Which, man, this was heavy duty. Please share this video. James O'Keefe, let's talk. We can create a society that has nothing to do with and should do away with the federal Washington's District of Criminal swamp. At least decentralize and deconstruct that and hand all this power down to the states, and then we can start there. But we don't need all these alphabet soup agencies controlling us, ruling us, and robbing us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You know a politician is not on your side when they don't at least dissolve the IRS and the income tax. Those would be wildly popular among everyone, no matter your political bent. But they don't do it. Why? Because they are controlled by the Zio International Banking Cartel. He knows it. Patrick Bet-David knows it. Alex Jones knows it. But they refuse to say anything about it. If you want to support this channel, hey, become a member. I'm trying to put out a video every single day, at least one video every single day for you. I'm talking about a substantive, earth-shaking video that is chock full of truth. Only the truth is going to set us free. And it's got to be undiluted, and you can't monkey around with it. It's probably going to be offensive. It's not going to be popular, but we can make it popular by liking this video, sharing this video, becoming a channel member. If you want to support the channel further, the links are in the description, but you can do it right now just by liking and sharing this video. I appreciate you being here. Please share this out. This was freaking interesting. I will see you in the next video.